A couple of days ago, one of the presidential candidates actually came out and said the only way he would lose the election is if it's rigged. And I thought, who says something like that? The only way I lose is if it's rigged. And I also thought, that feels vaguely Caribbean. Now, if you're going to sing in the Caribbean style, it's not necessary to use a strange, sort of bastardized accent. I just don't know how not to. When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've the notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged. There was a child who never learned, so he'd cheat on the test. Things were fine for a matter of time. He did better than the rest. And then one teacher caught him. Oh, how it broke his heart. He said, "It's not my fault, ma'am. The other kids are just too smart. When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've the notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged." And then the boy, he got older, learned how to drive a car. It didn't last, he went too fast, he didn't get too far. He had a nasty crack up, drove into the apple tree. He told the judge, "It's not my fault, I blame Johnny Appleseed." When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've a notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged. Key change. Didn't know that was coming. Once the country needed soldiers, so he ditched the draft. He got their goat with a doctor's note, had himself a laugh. When some folks called bullshit, it didn't hurt his pride. He said, "I blame the doctor who chose to accept the bribe. When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've the notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged." Well, the boy, he started dating. He had quite a few. He was a lad who liked to brag about knowing what to do. But he never satisfied them. They all turned to go. He said, "Not my fault, I don't boom too fast. They all boom too slow. When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've the notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged." Don't worry, it's almost over. Well, I hope you learned a lesson by listening to this song. If you just point your finger, they can never prove you wrong. The words you must say loudly, they don't need to be right. You don't need facts and figures. You don't need to be bright. When I swim and I get wet, I blame the ocean. When I grow fat, I blame my clothes for getting big. I blame anything whenever I've the notion. And the only way I lose is if it's rigged. My schools that took the money did no teaching. I sold steaks that were made out of a pig. I am rich, you'll never see my taxes. The only way I lose is if it's rigged. The only way I lose is if it's rigged. The only way I lose is if it's rigged. Done now.